people's stories are supposed to fit in.
Yeah.
And they don't. So that was one aspect of it.
That is why the tabloids work, you know.
That's right.
Obviously, I've been a part of it for all of my public life, and that's why it works, because it's a little piece of the truth mixed with somebody else's idea of what they think should be happening, and people hold on to them. People say, oh, yes, I know it's true because... And what I think the greater public never seems to understand, and so there's no reason to even try to get people to understand, is what I think at this point, is that when people make up stories about you, it hurts.
Yeah.
And when people violate the truth of you, it hurts. But people think that because you're famous, oh, well, then it shouldn't because you're rich and you're famous, and so therefore...
It is a problem that it's hard to ask people to relate to, honestly, because it's not a problem that everybody has. I mean, certainly you can have a problem with your office building knowing something about you that's not true, or your extended family or something. But you know, it's very not highbrow, but a kind of like an abstract problem for this much of the populace. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I remember years ago I was on talking about it. I think it was after show, and I was talking about something. One of the tabloids had said, and a woman stood up and said, Oprah, what do we care, basically, she said. What do you think we care? Because look at you living the life that you're living. Yeah. And, you know, when I'm in my office and somebody says something about me that's not true and everybody's around the water cooler talking about it, I have no recourse either. So it really is the same thing, only it's just bigger.
Expanded,
yeah. So let's talk. When you were dating Russell Crowe, there was you took a lot of heat for that.
Yeah.
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 What was true? What wasn't true?
Well, my marriage was I think I have to talk about it in a way that's most respectful to my son. Yeah. It was a very unhealthy marriage, and it was pretty much not a happening marriage for a very long time. I probably should have left much earlier, and I was very sad, actually, that it all had to come apart in the way that it seemed to have, you know, that it was never about another man. It was only about what my and Dennis's relationship just couldn't sustain, you know. And I think once the tabloids get a hold of 3 celebrity names, you're just really in trouble.
No, your name goes on that board every week, and there it is, baby. Yeah.
That's right.
Do you think you took a public bullet for something that wasn't really your fault? You do?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, I think I did, and I think honestly Russell did too, because he wasn't a homewrecker. He took a lot of heat for that, and he had a lot of grace, frankly, about not talking about things that he knew were going on in my marriage, and I'll be very grateful to him for a long time for that.
Really?
Yeah, and he was around at a divorce is an impossibly hard transition in your life, and he was there for a few months, and you know, I didn't leave my marriage for Russell Crowe. I left my marriage.
Because your marriage wasn't working.
My marriage was not working.
Yeah. And so I think this is really interesting because obviously I do this show, so I talk to women all the time who are in bad relationships. Or I bet there's an estimate, I don't know if anybody's ever done this, of when it starts to go wrong, you know it really can't be repaired. How long do you stay after you know it's really over?
I think you want it not to be over. Very much. I mean,
But I hear people like, for some people it's like 7 years. It's like, I knew 7 years ago it wasn't
I knew 5 years.
You knew 5 years?
Yeah, easily.
Really?
And you have children, you know, people have children. There's this whole thing that you need to sustain. There's a lot of, even if your marriage isn't good, and even if you need to get out, you still feel guilty somehow, which, you know, maybe that's a female thing. I don't know, but it's crazy how you have to talk yourself into protecting yourself. And so there are times in, I think, every woman's life where she really does need to get out and expand and do all those things, all those things that make her the best version of herself.
Okay. We'll be right back.